In this video, I'll create a more realistic forest using separate small fir and big fir layers, then refine the result with filters, overlap rules, noise, and tree rotation. I'll start with small fir as the lower forest layer. This group should be denser and smaller than the main trees. The small fir prototype still feels too large here. Since this group is supposed to represent smaller forest growth, I don't want these trees to compete with the big fir layer. I'll reduce the prototype scale, so small fir works more like a lower, supporting layer. Now I'll add a texture filter. You can see trees appearing on the scree and rocky debris texture, and that does not look believable. With the texture filter, I can use the terrain layers as a mask and prevent this forest group from spawning on those rocky areas. Next, I'll add big fir as a separate layer. Large trees need their own spacing, scale, and overlap rules. This group also has a dead tree prototype. I like it as a rare variation, but right now it appears too often and catches too much attention. I'll lower its spawn chance, so dead trees still appear sometimes, but don't dominate the forest. Here you can see an important forest layering case. Small trees can grow under large trees, and sometimes we want to keep that behavior instead of removing every overlap. To do that, I'll adjust priority and overlap check settings. With the right priorities, big fir can define the main layer, while small fir is still allowed to appear underneath it. Now the forest has two readable layers. Big fir gives height, and small fir fills the lower space. Before expanding the area, I want to make sure texture and slope rules keep trees away from obviously wrong places. The local setup is good enough. Now I'll test these rules on a larger part of the terrain. On the larger terrain, trees are spawning too high in the mountains. For this forest, I don't want the upper rocky slopes to be covered with trees. I'll add a height filter and limit the allowed elevation range so the forest stays in a more believable zone. The placement is better now, but the forest is still too evenly dense. Now I'll add a noise filter. The forest is still too evenly dense, and I wanted to have more natural variation. Noise lets me break the placement into denser patches and empty meadows, instead of one continuous forest mass. I'm tuning the noise scale so the openings feel intentional, not like random holes. Remap lets me sharpen or soften the noise mask, which gives better control over the meadow to forest transition. Now the forest reads less like a solid block and more like a natural tree line with open fields. Right now, the trees can rotate too freely in different directions. In reality, most trees are fairly straight, and only some should lean slightly on the XZ axis. With the tree rotation component, I can keep most trees upright while still adding a small amount of natural variation. From a distance, I check the forest shape and open areas. Up close, I check scale, spacing, rotation, and layer behavior. This setup gives much more control than one uniform scatter pass. Separate forest layers, filtered placement, rare dead trees, noise-based density, and controlled rotation.